But first, we got to get into the topic of the day. One, William Mayonnaise Man Levis. Now, who made Will Levis's stock get even higher than he could possibly have gotten it himself? One, Malik Willis. Now, mind you, let me show you how God works. Ryan Tannehill is there. They draft Malik Willis. Ryan Tannehill does not want to mentor Malik Willis. We go in a spiral. There's a fight in the front office. We've been down this lane before, but some kind of way, Rand Carthon comes in, trades up, first pick in the second round. It's Will Levis. All the physical traits in the world, he just didn't have it between his shoulders, and he needed somebody to come in and groom him to get the most out of him. We've seen this. A good talent in a bad situation, maybe it just doesn't work. Maybe it's not Nashville. You trade Malik Willis after his first offseason with Brian Callahan. He shows improvement in preseason. The Green Bay Packers get him to back up Jordan Love. He comes back to Nashville, puts the belt on us. We all knew it was coming. About 70 yards rushing, 200 yards passing, and Malik Willis has been a great backup quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. He'll become a free agent this season. He'll probably get a nice little check. I'll be happy for him. When he was in Nashville, always had a positive attitude, despite everything that always happened with him. A faith-driven person, which I respect. And then here comes Will Levis. And then there's the fight between, do they want to keep Will Levis? Do they want to keep Ryan Tannehill? Ryan Tannehill's out after a high ankle sprain that he never recovered from, and then never picked up by any other team in the NFL as a veteran, which he could have been a solid veteran for somebody if he actually
Let me teach you how to
was the heel and his heart would be in it. But then Will Levis has an awful start with Brian Callahan, and then this offseason obviously goes under the knife to have a surgery on his shoulder. Not a team situation, a situation that he personally took it upon himself to do, looking out for his best interest in mind. And with that all being said, Malik Willis has laid the foundation for him to say, and his agent to say, I need a new home. I would like to go to be traded somewhere, and the Tennessee Titans could put something good on tape with his workouts and get some value in return. Now, I've been going back and forth with people the last 24 hours about should the Tennessee Titans keep him. It's a lot of people that want to keep him, and I say if he had 2 years left, I would say keep him, because then you got value if something happens with Cam Ward. But this is his last year. The Tennessee Titans ought to be tired of, even if Daboll was to get the most out of Will Levis behind the scenes and in preseason, if you don't trade him, then he grooms and gets himself ready and healthy to go to another team, and you get no trade value back. And then you have the contingency of people who say, well, what are we going to do with the 5th or 6th round pick? Maybe it could be, a starting right guard like Jackson Slater could be. It could be a starting nickelback and Marcus Harris. It could be, we don't have to go down the list of 4th and 5th and like day 3 talent that the Tennessee Titans have turned into, as well as other teams have turned into two good pieces. If that's the case, you didn't want to trade back from Draymond Jones, which was a 5th. You can't say Draymond Jones is a good trade to get a 5th, but then getting a 5th for Will Levis isn't a good 5th. He's a starting edge rusher that almost had double-digit sacks. You can't say that you don't want the value when you traded a 5th round pick and Jarvis Brownlee to get a 6th round, and then say, well, at least we got something. But then not want a 6th round pick back from Will Levis. You can't have Kenneth Murray Jr. get traded to the Cowboys, a player that you was going to cut and get a pick, and then say, oh, well, we don't want extra picks. We don't want extra draft picks, even though the front office is saying we need draft picks. And then you just go down the line of seeing what Bergonzi has done in day 3, especially last year, and saying give this guy as many swings at day 3 players as possible when you got to fill 30 spots on the 53-man roster with new talent coming in plus free agency. I like the draft and develop method myself. Now, this is different than the coach situation. That Daniel Jones is not under contract. Riley Leonard did not give them what they needed in a rookie, which he still has time to groom and develop. But this is Anthony Richardson's last year. It's different situation with Anthony Richardson. You want to keep him to see what he got, because you know Daniel Jones will not be ready. even if they say he's going to be ready,
Let
this
me
dude
teach
had
you
two
how
of the
to
most
vibe.
massive sports injuries you could possibly have, and rushing him back might, end his career. So you definitely want to take your time with that. So that's a different situation that gives that organization a first round pick, a top 5 pick, somebody that they can see what they still got, right? Because we cut Traylon Burks early. We weren't able to trade. There's no trade value for him. But then he goes to the Commanders in the last year of his rookie deal and is as good as anybody that we got. We paying Tyler Lockett, Van Jefferson, and James Prochet and Mason Kinsey. I'm pretty sure that a healthy Traylon Burks is better than them. But that just goes to show you that Malik Willis has set the table for Will Levis to get traded. And they say, well, no, who's going to trade for Will? Who traded for Kenny Pickett? Who traded for Kenneth Murray? Who traded for Joe Milton? When people get desperate, they will trade for a backup QB or a QB they think could be a starter on a roster. And then people start talking about contracts. Okay, how hard is it to get a backup quarterback in the NFL? Who's the backup quarterback for the New England Patriots? Josh Dobbs, Tennessee Titan legend. Who's the backup for the Seahawks? Jalen Milroe, rookie quarterback, grooming behind Sam Darnold. Let's keep going. Who's the backup for the Rams? Jimmy Garoppolo, $3 million, a quarterback that's been to NFC Championship and Super Bowl. Groomed in New England. All right, go to the other side. Obviously, we know Jerry Stidham was the backup for Denver. We could just go down the line. Like, one of the only expensive backup quarterbacks that was in the playoffs is Davis Mills, who people argue probably should have played in the playoff game, or whether he did or didn't. Do you even know who the backup quarterback in Jacksonville is? Like, I've never seen a fan base so enamored with who the backup quarterback to a first round #1 overall pick face of the franchise is, that you're bringing in Brian Daboll to come coach. I've never seen a team just be so excited about not wanting to get trade value back when your whole goal of your GM is to draft and develop as many players as he can. I've never seen this before. So, I mean, that's why we're here today. It's not that I don't think Will Levis can. I hope that Will Levis has a Sam Darnold in him, has a Geno Smith in him, has a resurgence. I mean, look at Mac Jones. The 49ers got Mac Jones for 2 years for $5 million. He's probably going to be the most sought after quarterback in free agency. You have Marcus Mariota. There's going to be a lot of free agent QBs that you could pick up as a guy who's just going to be a veteran presence. At the end of the day, if Cam Ward goes down, I don't care if Will Levis has 2 good games in week 10 and week 11. You can't trade him at that point. You get nothing for him. So all that means is he has a couple good games in week 10 and week 11 of next season, or to close out the season, and then he walks in free agency just like Derrick Henry did. You get nothing back. So I don't see this huge want to keep Will Levis around. Like, I like Will Levis, the player, but I like his skill set. I think he's got an unfair situation with the coaching staff. Maybe it wasn't so much of Will Levis and Malik Willis' talent. Maybe it was Brian Callahan and Tim Kelly and Todd Downing's lack of development. But at the end of the day, like, we're here to develop Cam Ward. Daboll is here for Cam Ward, not for Will Levis. And your GM didn't draft him. So to think that you could trade Jarvis Brownlee Jr. and Roger McCreary to make sure you get value back out of them, to think that Tavondre Sweat, a long shot, could be a person that could be traded, that almost anybody on this roster not named Cam Ward or Jeffrey Simmons could be traded this offseason, that wasn't brought in by Mike Bergonzi, to think that Will Levis shouldn't be traded for a 4th, 5th, or 6th round pick is preposterous in my mind. You know, people try to downplay a 5th or 6th round draft pick, and that's what your team is based upon. You know, you look at Kyle Monangai, Aronde Gasson, Krosky Merritt. We can just go around the list of guys that was drafted in day 3 in this last draft that wind up being good players. Actually, the pick that the New England Patriots traded Joe Milton for is their starting kicker. Borgalis, did I say it right? This guy's gonna kick field goals in the Super Bowl. He's the guy he drafted with the pick they traded Joe Milton with. So, like, they're in the same situation. There's Drake May and Joe Milton. You trade Joe Milton and you get a draft pick. You're not going to sit there and tell the New England Patriots trading Joe Milton for a 5th round pick is not important to them when they're rebuilding And look what it led to. All right, now I can get caught up on y'all questions about this topic. I had to get through that. It was a slow burn. I was y'all know I got to get through the spiel, and then we'll get back into the questions. Arc Raiders, he said trade him after the draft. Why wouldn't you trade him before the draft if he put something good on tape? Like if Will Levis, if Will Levis gets a private workout and is slinging the ball, why wouldn't you trade him pre-draft? Now I get what you're saying, because what you're saying makes sense. If you brought him back into camp and you worked him out and he had a good preseason, you get more value for the 27 draft. By holding him. Maybe you increase him from a 6th to a 5th or a 5th to a 4th. Obviously, there's people in my comments that's like, you're not going to get the first pick in the second round back for him. Like, duh, you're not getting the pick 33 back for Will Levis. But you can't tell me that a 4th, a 5th, or a 6th round pick for a team that has as many holes as the Tennessee Titans wouldn't be important. He said, I seen a tweet like Will Levis becomes Sam Darnold in the right system. I mean, I think anybody that's drafted in the first and second round, given the right set of people around him, you know, people always talk about system guy. Like, well, ain't that what a coach scouting is for? I have a particular system and this guy fits the skill set. I can get the most out of him. Like that's always a dumb take when I see people say that. 2 times, what up? Yeah, we early on today. Thoughts on Brown's new head coach? Was it a good hire? And my thoughts did. They did. Yeah, Jim Schwartz walked out the building. That was like, I was laughing at that. Like, y'all got rid of Stefanski to go to the Falcons, to have Jim Schwartz in the building with a defensive minded team, to bring in Todd Monken, who can't score points with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, to come in. But only thing I could think of it positive is that maybe Todd Monken was one of the reasons why they wanted to draft Shedeur Sanders in Baltimore anyways. And maybe they was trying to find somebody to come into Cleveland that really believed in Shedeur Sanders. So that's the only thing, Daniel, that I could think of it, is that somebody in the front office said, we got to get somebody that believes in Shedeur. But Jim Schwartz walking out after them getting Todd Monken definitely doesn't help the Browns late in the quarterback and in the coaching cycle. He said all y'all get for Will Levis is a Jimmy John's gift card. What do we get for Kenneth Murray? Tennessee Titans are going to cut Kenneth Murray and the Cowboys traded for him. What do we get for that? What do we get for trading Jarvis Brownlee Jr.? What do we get for trading Roger McCreary? What do we get for trading D-Hop? What do we get for trading Ernest Jones? What do we get for trading Draymond Jones? It's amazing that the Tennessee Titans have traded a lot of people and got capital back. And somehow you think a quarterback that was taken pick 33 in the draft wouldn't get at least what Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett got. You just seen Joe Milton get a 5th round draft pick traded to the Cowboys for somebody who wants a quarterback that can groom to the future. Have you seen the quarterback market? Do you know that Daniel Jones may not play next season? Do you know that Mac Jones is the most sought after quarterback in free agency? Do you know that Dante Moore, quarterback 2, went back to school? That Trinidad Chambliss went back to school? That Ty Simpson and Carson Beck are your options 2 and 3 at quarterback after Fernando Mendoza, with a bunch of teams that need quarterbacks? What happened to Tank for Aller, Tank for Arch? What happened to Lenora Sellers? What happened to Cade Klubnik? All the people y'all said we shouldn't take Cam Ward for. And now, all of a sudden, Will Levis isn't worth a 5th or 6th round pick. Get out of here. High chance to trade after the preseason. So the Titans to get a higher pick in 26 and trade him before the 25 draft. Keep it for one off season. But this is the thing, though, if you could get a 5th round pick right now, would you really care if you waited a whole season to try to potentially take a 5th to a 4th? Man, give me the 5th round pick. Give me the 5th. Give me the 5 ball. They said, or you hit the lotto and draft a Puka, or a Tariq Woolen, who's going to be one of the most highly sought after corners in this draft, was a late round pick. People got to stop sleeping on late round picks because they don't research. They don't look into the bulk of your team being guys from day 2 and day 3. Like that, like the Tennessee Titans have Reggie. They got They got Burke. They got Bergonzi. You got Brinker. You got 55 GMs in the building. I'm sure somebody can find somebody in day 3 to help the Tennessee Titans out. He said, I heard you're the new Tennessee Titans coach. No, it is Robert Saleh. He has a bald head and I got hair. Pass game coordinator. Yeah, Daniel Jones hurt both legs. And I'm not laughing because Daniel Jones had a hell of a year. He's 8-1 up until the point he got injured. I don't like this. I don't like injuries. You know, I don't like to bank on injuries and things like that. He said, and Richardson has a talent in the world. He just needs to be developed. The thing about Richardson is Richardson don't have a lot of time on task. Like if you go back from his college days all the way through pro, bro just don't got enough starts. He just need more time. Like he's a person that was more of a project than somebody that you could groom and get right in year 1 or year 2. You could double the value after the offseason, can make things work and get a 3rd or a 4th. I mean, shit, you could wait and get nothing though. That's the thing. Like, what if he has a bad preseason and you can't move him? Why wouldn't you just move him and get the guaranteed 5th or 6th right now? Man, Facebook is ass, bro. Like, bro, I apologize for y'all that's watching on Facebook. Like, Facebook streams will always crash, bro. I don't know why. Like Facebook streams will always crash. Like, let me see. Let's see. Like, bro, we got people in other places though. So, man, Facebook just gonna have to take a L today, bro. I like to get my recordings off of Facebook though. For some reason, Bears had Case Keenum. I think he helped Caleb settle down this year. But it's the thing though. Like, Case Keenum ain't making no money though. Like, Titan fans act like getting a backup like Case Keenum, like. Brandon Allen is not under contract for the Tennessee Titans next year. I don't know if Titan fans and Titan people know that, but he's not under contract. Like he's getting 1.4 million. Like Case Keenum is 1 year, $2.2 million, bro. Like if you think we can't get something like that, like we got all the cap space in the world, like saving $2-3 million on cap, get to trade Levis for a draft pick is more than worth it. The personnel coach, yeah, send me a check bill and I'll work remote. Titans got a really good coaching staff. If people would have said that the Titans was gonna get the people that they got in to become coaches, like nobody would have believed you, right? They would have thought that was a lie. If we said Saleh and Dabo and retaining Bones Fossil with potentially still adding more talent and getting White Cotton, people would have been like, nah, man, Titan, they ain't coming to Nashville, man. The Titans suck, man. Nobody likes Amy Adams Strunk. And then when she get rid of Brian Callahan and everybody dogged her, now you realize that getting rid of Callahan was the best case scenario for the entire organization. And now they went out and hired some good coaches. Nobody gonna say that was smooth. They're just gonna say, oh, it's the Titans. They're gonna suck. Cam Ward is washed. The Jets, Cardinals, Steelers, maybe the Dolphins trying to bid for Levis. Not necessarily. I think the Jets is gonna take defense first and then double back on Ty Simpson at the bottom of the first. Cardinals, who knows what the new coach that takes over wants to do with Kyler Murray. He only got maybe 6 weeks to figure it out. Steelers, Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Will Howard is still there. Dolphins have Quinn Ewers and Tua. They stuck. Like Will Levis is more than likely a person that could go to say Cardinals. Will Levis is a person that could say maybe be in Las Vegas. Maybe Will Levis could find his way to some of those other teams, but I don't know. I don't know that Will Levis goes to the Steelers with Will Howard still being there, or the Dolphins with Quinn Ewers in too. Big Jeff, what'd he do? Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock about to get a ring? Both Giants backups. I mean, Josh Dobbs was a Titan backup. Ernest Jones. Like, it's a bunch of Titans that's gonna be there. Q, we laughed at Tennessee because they said no one to coach. Should have been laughing at Cleveland. I mean, I said that, bro. I was like, bro, people try to laugh. Like, listen, the Cleveland Browns had Mike Vrabel in the building. Like, now they with Todd Monken and Jim Schwartz walked out. But people think the Titans is the laughing stock. He said Levis to the Steelers. Only thing about them to the Steelers is like, Aaron Rodgers is coming back and they got Will Howard. So I don't know if they load their quarterback room up like that. A team I can see, the Bengals. I can see, like, it sounds silly, but the Bengals finally had enough of old boy, and then Joe Burrow stay hurt. I see like with Levis getting a shot at like what Willis got is a backup to the best case scenario is him to be a backup to a good player that he's gonna have a good staff around him and good talent. Yeah, FB went out, so I just let the other ones rock. Oh yeah, we on the other sites. Realistically, think y'all can get a third or fourth? I think if they're patient, they could get a third or fourth. It might not be for this year's draft. It might be next year. But also, too, I need as many possible picks as we can get this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they don't re-sign Chig Okonkwo, which he's estimated to get, $11 million a year from Spotrac, like, if you're not going to get Kyle Pitts or you're not going to get Isaiah Likely or re-signing Chig, Rondé Gaston was a 5th round pick. You might want to start looking for diamonds in the rough. Like in one of my mocks, I got Marlon Klein, I think in the 5th or 6th round. Like Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. It's gonna be some decent tight ends that fall. Lawson Lucky. It's gonna be some guys that might be around in that 5th or 6th round at tight end. So don't tell me that a Will Levis pick wouldn't be good to spill your Will Levis pick to turn into another safety, another corner, or another tight end. Or a running back. Undefeated. Not gonna lie, 2.1 million was worth it. Yeah, it is. See, people like we had Brandon Allen for 1.4 million, and Will Levis is like 1.5 million. Who cares about spending an extra $2 million on a backup like Garoppolo or somebody if you're finna get a 4th, a 5th, or a 6th round pick that could turn into a starter? You know what I'm saying? Like, people just have to really look at the rosters of the teams that they follow and think about who to, like, Max Crosby is a 4th round pick. Chig Okonkwo is finna get $11 million a year to play tight end. He's a last pick in the 4th round. Like, Tariq Woolen, late round, Puka Nacua. Like, people pick up good players in the later rounds. Like if right now, if we went through the guys that was drafted, like in the 5th and 6th round, like that's productive. Like, that's why I say, like, the New England Patriots drafted their kicker that's kicking in the Super Bowl in the late rounds. Kyle Monangai, like, I could just go down the list of productive players that you draft for Tennessee Titans sake. For people that are Titan fans, you talking about Cedric Gray, you talk about Gunnar Ham, DK Aomaner. These are the 4th round picks that we've drafted. In recent years, I just think that when you got chances with a good GM that has been scouting pretty good to swing in day 3, you give him as many shots in that 4th to 6th round to land some players like Marcus Harris that winds up turning into a starting nickel. Like those type of things happen. That's something that y'all should do. That's something that I do is when I'm on ESPN and I'm looking at depth charts, I'll click on somebody's profile, right? And I'll see like, yo, where was this person? I'm gonna show y'all what I mean. I'll look and say like, yo, where was this person drafted that is like, where was Max Hollins drafted?
Introducing our all-star lineup.
A 4th round pick 118. Jared Wilson, their left guard, round 3, pick 95. I can just randomly go through people's teams and look and see who is where. Like, where did they get this person from? A Tennessee Titan legend, Harold Landry, a 2nd round pick starting at edge rusher. Kayvon Chason is a 1st round pick. Craig Woodson, last year a rookie, a starter, round 4, pick 106. Like, this dude's a starting free safety, and look where he was picked at. Marcus Jones, a Pro Bowler, round 3, pick 85. So I just don't buy into this this thought process that like getting day 3 picks, adding for Bergonzi to have if the Ravens would have made their field goal, we would have had 2 fourths. But having pick 101 and then 2 in the 5th and then 2 in the 6th, like, and then you trade Will Levis and you have, let's say you got 3 shots in the 5th and 2 in the 6th, you could package that and move up into the 4th if you seen somebody you really wanted and take another top 100 player off the board. You're going to pick at 4. You're going to pick at 35. You're going to pick at 66 and 101. If Ruben Bain and Arvell Reese come off the board at the Jets and the Cardinals, if the Raiders take Mendoza and they don't see another guy they want, if you're the Tennessee Titans and one of those 2 guys was your game changer at 4, trade back into the bottom of the top 10, do what the Browns did last year, and still load up. Like, think about what the Browns got. The Browns got they got their first round pick. They got the Jaguars' first round pick. They got Mason Graham. They got Carson Schlesinger, Judkins, Sampson, Harold Fanning, Shadur Sanders, and of course they wasted one of their picks on Dylan Gabriel. But you know, give them that 3rd round pick, another top 100 shot back. I guarantee they do it different. And just think about how many spaces on your roster you could fill if you're thinking in those terms and telling me that in round 4 we picked Chimere DK, Gunnar Ham, Alec Aomaner, followed by Jackson Slater and Marcus Harris with Khalil Mullins. Like, you pick people that made your 53 and contribute. So I'm just not understanding this logic of wanting to hold on to Will Levis. And even if he gives you a couple of good games this season, the Tennessee Titans are not some playoff contender to where needing a backup quarterback could be the difference in us, you know, making a run or something like that. Like, you understand Garoppolo being on the Rams. You understand Davis Mills on the Texans. You understand teams getting a better backup quarterback like Mac Jones going to the 49ers for two years for $5 million when you got Brock Purdy dealing with injuries. Like, some of those things make sense, but if you're the Tennessee Titans and you building over from scratch, like, give me that extra shot at a day 3 pick between 4 and the 6th round, and let me see what I can come up with. Because if you like me and you love doing mock drafts, do 10 mock drafts and just record and screenshot what you get in rounds 4 through 6 in 5 straight drafts, and you start to see the type of players that's going to be dingling around. And then y'all watching the Senior Bowl, which is going to add some unnamed talent that nobody knew about, that scouts knew about, that's going to stuff in, that's going to push good players down. And then you're going to mess around and be in the draft and see some really good players still lingering around in the 5th and 6th round that you thought was going to be off the board, you know. And that's what you want, you know, like, and you want to be scouting and have a good board to where Titans might can get a offensive guard later in the 5th or 6th round. You know, Jackson Slater they should try him to start at right guard, unless they really feel like he's a center and they're gonna keep him at center behind Cush. But you know, you can filter your draft board by that, and then you could treat free agency completely different when you got Robert Saleh, White Cotton, and Dabo. You know, you start to look at players that are connected to them that could potentially come to the Tennessee Titans. Then the whole game plan changes in what you think you could get. You know, they're going to be running a wide nickel defense, and then Dabo is going to be looking for a dog to put opposite of receiver stacks that can work one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be looking for that dog either in free agency or in the draft. And I'm glad that finally some Titan fans is starting to wisen up that I've been saying either you're going to take a shot at Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson at 4, or you're going to trade back if your guys ain't there and say, give me 2 top 100 receivers in a deep receiver class. And you can't tell me that if I had Jacoby Lane and Zachariah Branch, or if I had Casey Concepcion in one of these dunkers out here, that we couldn't put 2 other guys in and say, I got 2 rookies with Aomaner, DK, and Restrepo, and then we bring back Van or Bryce Oliver as the 6th receiver that plays special teams, that still can go out and catch you 30, 40 balls if they need to. Like, you really need to start putting a better 53 on the board. I'm interested to see what they do at tight end, though, because Gunnar Helm is tight end 1, but do they bring Chig back, or do they take a stab at Kyle Pitts, or take a stab at Isaiah Likely or, a guy like Cade Otton or somebody like one of the more physical guys. I like Marlon Klein out of Michigan. I think he'd be a good tight end if he fell in the draft around that 5th or 6th round. 6'6", 250. I want them big bruisers that's gonna punch people. You know what I'm saying? Like, people ain't gonna want to tackle them. And they good in the run blocking. So that's what I think the Tennessee Titans need. They got a really good tight ends coach that helps in the run game coordination and Luke Stocker. So, like, I'm interested to see what the tight end room look like.